Hey class, Professor Mills here. I want to go through your group research information with you today. What I'm going to want you to do is open up your D2L and I want you to go through this with me, okay? And so right off the bat, I'm going to share my screen and do this. And then here we come. All right, so what you're going to want to do is go to content in our class. I actually want this recording to be able to be used in the future. And so today I'm going to show you some things, but if you're watching this is actually February of 2026. If you're watching this next year or the year after, there might be some things that are different. And so one of the things that I want to make sure is that you understand that for 2026, these are going to be our final dates. For 2027, these will be changed. So the big thing is always to absolutely go up here to content. And then what you'll need to do is go to group research. It's going to be right above the week one group research information. Okay. Uh, so that you can see what's happening here, your due dates. The first one is going to be your rough draft for the individual research is going to be due March the 6th of 2026. Again, in 2027, 2028, these will be different dates. You just need to look. The final draft for the group research is going to be due March the 27th. Presentations are going to be held weeks 12, 13, and 14. And here is our massive main instructions, okay? Each team will need to meet and decide the following. You're going to choose a group name, you're going to choose a topic, and you're going to send Professor Mills an initial report. I have an example of that right here. It's very simple, initial report. Our group has agreed that we are going to do our research project on, this was from last year, they were going to do it on drugs and crimes policy. They actually brought this down to just, it was drug policy and the war on drugs is what they actually wound up doing. So this is an important thing to know is that when you choose your research project and when you choose your subject and your name, do remember that it might morph, it might change, it might grow, it might become something even more. Okay. So this group, in addition, after some debate, we settled on the hilarious and appropriate group name, the Druggies. And that's what their group name was. It was actually, he's not wrong. It was really cute. Um, and so that initial report it doesn't have to be crazy. Okay. We're talking 3 sentences. But you need to choose in your group, you need to find somebody in the group who's going to be your communication officer. This isn't necessarily your leader, okay? You guys are all grown adults. You can kind of figure out how to do things. You don't need somebody bossing you around, okay? That's what I'm here for. So one of the things is I want to make sure that you do pick somebody, though, to be the communication liaison. And so that person is going to make sure that they have everybody's email addresses. That person will also be somebody who can create, and this is going to be really important, a group me or a Discord for you guys to all communicate on, or perhaps you might have a WhatsApp. Okay. Again, if you have anybody that has a cell phone that is originates in a different country than the United States of America, a lot of times they can't, GroupMe doesn't play nicely with international phones. So WhatsApp will, okay, Discord will. So you guys create some type of group where you can communicate with each other and rely on your communication liaison to be the person who coordinates all of that. That communications liaison needs to email me. They need to email me with that initial report. The initial report, again, is going to tell me your group name that you've all decided on and the group, the subject material that you're going to be working on. Okay? All right. So I want to go ahead and share again my screen because the next thing I want to show you is that after your initial report, you need to get to work. Okay. Notice that's again, I will not need an email from each individual. Each team needs to choose a team facilitator or communications officer. That person will communicate with me. By the way, here's some different subjects that you can research: veterans policy, drug enforcement policy, prison reform, energy policy. You could do energy policy. You could also do clean or renewable energy. And let me tell you something, you don't have to be pro or against any of these things. All of these, you can come into it with a like an excited, like you're really excited, you're going to do this great thing. Okay, you're going to talk about clean energy, yay, right? And then you might get into the middle of it and find a lot of problems with it. Here's the important part: your bias, whether pro or against, you need to set that to one side. I need you to do this research. I need you to do it very deeply. And I need to make sure that when you come out on the other side, you actually do understand a lot more about your subject material. Okay. So we have quite a few different things here: anti-terrorism, human rights, refugee and humanitarian assistance. I got a bunch of these from these two websites. Notice that they both have a .gov website address. That's going to be important, that you can find something that the U.S. government is actually interested in investigating right now. Okay. All right. Now, each team, here is what you're going to be responsible for and what you're going to be graded for. You're definitely going to be graded for individual rough drafts, a team-produced finished report, a team-produced group presentation, and individual peer assessments. Out of all of these things, the one thing that is going to be the most important are these individual rough drafts. They are not team produced. And that rough draft is going to be on you guys' chosen topic. And this is going to be your own individual research with your citations in a bibliographic form. Okay. So I want to talk about that for a moment. Okay. Individual rough drafts will not be subject to rules of grammar. However, if you spell things wrong, I am going to judge you harshly. Okay. The citations, on the other hand, will be subject to those rules. Okay. I'm looking for 2 to 3 pages. I'm looking for a works cited page. It needs to be double spaced. It needs words on it. Okay. Now, here's the thing. The words can be set up either as a bullet point or as an essay. You choose. The factual points need in-text parenthetical citations. Please and thank you. And the most important thing will be the citation works cited page. It needs to be amazing. I need to see more than 5 citations per individual rough draft, and they need to be formatted perfectly. And here is where you can find the Chicago style, but also remember when we were at Library Day, Dr. Jane Malcolm mentioned about you going onto the library website and getting those citations off of the website in the library. And remember that you can do the pull down and pick Chicago. It's going to be Chicago or Turabian. Okay. Now, let's stay here on the individual rough drafts for a second because I have a couple I want to show you. Okay. Here's this one. This was actually on I believe this was the druggies. Okay. And this is one of the students' report. So they were responsible for drugs, the borders, and tariffs. So they did bullet points, and notice that they definitely put, like the citations behind each point. Okay. They mention different things about it. They have subpoints, and they go into different places to find those subpoints. They talk about drug legalization and decriminalization. Okay. Again, we have citations. This is important. Okay. This one you'll see also even talks about Switzerland's drug policy. It talks about Oregon and Portugal. It talks about other places like Mexico, Czech Republic, the Netherlands, etc., and so forth. And then here's his amazing works cited. Okay, he has 5 works cited, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they're all done very, very well. And then what he did on this one in specific, he went back through after this and he made this into an essay. But this is what he turned in to me. I like this. I'm excited about this. Yay. Okay. Um, Here is another one that I would like to show you, another individual. Okay, I changed the person's name, the student, I just put student name up there. Okay. This person was talking about the Rohingya humanitarian crisis that was happening. This person, she did it, they did it as an essay. Okay. The cool thing about doing it as an essay is that now all you have to do is go through and touch up the essay a bit, and you can put it right into the living document that everybody is working on. Okay. Okay. So they go through, they did this one as an essay. They did 2 pages. They actually did 3 pages. Sorry, a little bit of page there. And then they did all their works cited down here. Again, it's 5 works cited, right? So this one was really, this is an excellent example also. You can do yours either way. I'm just going to tell you, if you go ahead and write it out like this, that is going to save you some time. You're front loading. You're making that document at the front end, okay? And then the cool thing about that is that you don't have as much to do at the back end, okay? Let me see if I can't, uh, actually, I have several examples. I wanted to show you several examples. Let me see if I have this one. That one I already did. Sorry. And then this one. Okay, that one I already did. So the one I forgot to show you is this one here. Okay. And so this one, when it comes up, apparently it doesn't like me anymore and it just doesn't want to show up. I see how that works. Ah, yes. Okay. This one was from the druggies. That's actually it. So they were talking about the rise of prescription drug abuse here in the United States. And so again, they did it in bullet points. I want you to see though that they straight up have their in-text parenthetical citations. Okay. Uh, Here again, so they do each one of their points. What happens is these points often will become, like the first and important, the topic sentence in a paragraph, and that makes sense, right? And so you have your topic sentence, and then you can build this into a paragraph. Topic sentence, build it into a paragraph, et cetera, and so forth. Okay. So you can see that this person, and then they went into like, instead of it just being bullet points, they really went into it here. I love that they have their in-text parenthetical citations. These are beautiful. I love that, love that, love that. And then here's their amazing works cited. They set up their works cited wrong. Can anybody tell me what they did wrong? Yes, that is correct. When you do a works cited, that first one has to be right there. And then this one has to go over, but you can't just click on it and tab over. You actually, to format it correctly in Word, you have to hit Enter, bring that back, and then tab over. Okay. And then that one is going to have to come back again. Can't. Okay. And then I might be able to just, nope, undo. Word can be kind of a little bit squirrely on this. Okay. And so the other thing too, I want to show you guys, and you may not be aware of this. All right. So that is how you're going to fix these works cited. But notice the works cited are not double spaced. And so here's something else I want to show you. Okay. Is that in fact, these bullet points are not necessarily double spaced. All right. So I'm going to Control A. I'm going to get everything here. I'm going to come up here to this area right here. And I want this to be just normal, okay? And then one of the things I'm going to do with it is I'm going to go down here to paragraph, and I'm going to hit just double spaced, okay? Double spaced is important because it makes it a lot easier for me to be able to grade and spot things, all right? That's why all the professors kind of like the double space thing, all right? Then you'd have to go back through and fix this, of course. tab, tab. Yeah, there we go. And then tab, tab. And then you can go back there and fix these like they should be, okay? So does everybody understand? I can feel you nodding your head. That's really awesome. I'm really excited about that. Just keep nodding your heads like that, okay? All right. And so I do that. Okay. What I want to do. Ah, there we go. Took me a few clicks to get it to stop share. All right. So here's the thing, your individual research, you've probably got 5 people in your group. You might have 6. There's one group that has 6. But here's the thing, inside of your research, okay, you need to choose your topic, and then each one of you needs to do a separate piece of the research. Let's say you're talking about clean water. Okay. One of the first things, by the way, clean water is actually a really important, it's a common good that everybody needs access to. Okay. So this is really in line with government and government procedures. Okay. So clean water, one of the things is you need one person who's going to address the overall missive. Okay. I would actually say that would be your introduction. So your introduction, okay, and then your conclusion, all right. One of the things is you really kind of don't want to write those 2 things until the end. Why, Miss Becky? Because then you'll actually know the direction that your paper's gone. In the meantime, you have more than 3. I've just got only 5 fingers on one hand, okay? But you have 5 people. So your group report is going to look like this. Your group report is going to have an introduction, and it's going to have a conclusion or a summary down here. And then each one of you are going to be responsible for one section of the paper. You guys got it? Each one of you is going to be responsible for a section of the paper. You are going to need to figure out what section each one of you are going to be writing. So again, let's come back to clean water. Okay. So when you guys decide we're going to do something about clean water, you'll need somebody to write up what the problems are with water. So water has bacteria. People get sick from it. Once the people get sick, they have reoccurring bacterial viral infections. Okay. So you need one person to explain, why do you need clean water? The next person is going to explain, why is the water not clean? Okay. Well, maybe you have, another town up the road a little bit, and maybe they're dumping their sewage right into the river that you're downstream of. Or maybe it's just, something natural that's happening, biological. Or maybe you have like a paper mill up the road a little bit, and they're dumping sludge into the river. Do you see what I'm saying? Find out why. This is going to be an interesting idea. You have one person who's going to, kind of examine what the issues are, another person that's going to go into more depth on that. Somebody is going to talk about the current government responses of that. What is the government currently doing to fix this issue? Is that government response being effective? Perhaps, and here's number 5, maybe there's a different way it could be handled. Maybe you could list different ways that the water can go through more chemical process or less chemical process, maybe more of a natural process, whatever. Okay. Again, I'm just taking one subject, and that's the clean water idea. If you're talking about, maybe you're talking about refugee crisis. Well, okay, who are the refugees? Why are they refugees? What is the source? Who is driving them to be refugees? Okay. And why are they doing that? Okay. Maybe it's because a religious war, or maybe it's because if you think about Native Americans in the United States of America 100 years ago, were all driven to Oklahoma, and you had tribes that were used to roaming large swaths of the Great Plains. Now they're in these little tiny little places that they have to be, And so, yeah, there's going to be some intertribal fighting. That's not rocket science. That makes sense, right? Find out why. Okay. Find out what current governmental responses there are. Are those being effective? Okay. Find out other responses that can happen. Okay. After you have all 5 portions of your body, after that, the best idea is to anoint somebody here in your group who's good at writing, anoint somebody to write the introduction, okay? And then anoint somebody to write the conclusion. You guys know what the introduction and the conclusion is. The introduction says, here's the problem, here's kind of the overview of it, and what is the conclusion going to be? The conclusion is, this is what I just said, okay? I said this, and this, and here's some potential answers, but the problem still persists, or the problem doesn't still persist. Do you see what I'm saying? You guys have all taken Comp, 102. You should know how to do a paper. All right. So you good with that? All right. So that actually has led us right back into the rest of what we're going to do. Okay. So once you've got all 5, or in one group, 6 individual rough drafts, okay, those individual rough drafts, by the way, are going to be turned into their own Dropbox. So each individual student in my class is going to drop in their own Dropbox an individual rough draft. I will be grading that. I need to tell you something important. Those individual rough drafts, that is the bulk of the, this is the bulk of the grade. It's 50% of the entire grade. Okay. Or, yes, 50%. I just wrote that down. Okay. So moving right along, the team produced finished report. Okay. This is going to be 20% of the total grade. The team produced finished report should wind up being 3 to 9 pages before the bibliography. Okay. And remember, a bibliography is a works cited page, and that will be at the very end. You need to use 1-inch margins. You need to double space, one-sided. You can use either Times New Roman or Calibri. If you use Times New Roman, do 12. Calibri, use 11. This report will include all those parenthetical citations that you used in each one of your individual rough drafts. What you're going to need to do is, as a team, you're going to need to all share a Google Drive or a OneDrive, a SharePoint drive. You're going to need to share this document, and everybody is going to need to add their information onto it, put it in the correct order that it needs to go into. And then you as a team decides who is going to write the introduction and who on your team is going to write the conclusion. Okay. I would suggest, if one of you is really strong in writing and less strong in presenting, that person who is strong in writing can actually do more of the writing and less of the presenting. Okay. Here's the next thing. Okay. So you're going to, each member as a team, all of you are going to save this on your own machine. Save it as a Word document, save it as a PDF. I do not care. But all 5 of you are going to load the exact same paper into your individual Dropbox. And so that individual paper will look something like this. So you're going to have student name 1, student name 2, student name 3, etc. Professor Becky Mills, Introduction to Political Science, and the date. Then here is your amazing title goes here. And then here's their actual introduction. And then here, you can't tell, but here is where the first person started with their research. Okay. Here's where the second person started with their research, or something like that. It was something like that. Okay. I will tell you that, and now I want you to notice how long this is too. Of course it's long. You have 5 people writing one paper. That only makes sense that it's long. Okay. And then here's your amazing conclusion. Okay. And then here's the works cited. Okay. And remember, it's going to have a lot of works cited because each one of you has 5 citations. So 5 times 5 is 25 for those math majors out there. Okay. So this paper is going to be a really big, giant paper. Do you understand? Yes. And so this is how I want you to put it, create it. And again, and I'm going to say this one more time, of your 5 members, all 5 of you, when it comes to the final paper, not the individual rough drafts, the final paper, all 5 of you are going to load the exact same paper into the Dropbox where it says final. Okay? All right. And in fact, I want to share again, and I actually want to go into here and show you this. Let me go into the Dropbox. Each one of you, rough draft of presentation research. It should say rough draft of individual presentation research. So this is going to be each one of you individually are going to load an individual rough draft of your work into here. Then all 5 of you are going to have the exact same paper, and all 5 of you are going to load that exact same paper into final research for presentation. Okay. Now here's the thing. And then this, I will load up later. Okay. Don't worry about this just yet. Okay. You good with me? All right. I want to actually go back. Of course, we go to content. Of course, we go to group research information. All right. Now here's the next part of this. We have the individual rough drafts loaded. Okay. And then as a team, you put together the entire thing. Now, here's the thing. Your team is going to produce a short. And when I say the word short, I mean short, because there are 7 teams. Okay. You're going to produce a short 10-minute maximum per group presentation. This is very simple. You're just going to do a quick overview. Okay. You can do a PowerPoint presentation. You can do a Prezi. You can do a giant yellow pad of paper. You can gamify it. You can use a Kahoot. Be as creative as you wish. But here's the important part. Do not go over 10 minutes. All right. And then that will give us another 5 minutes for questions. Okay. Everybody with me on this? All right. That presentation, I will be putting in your grade for that myself. The presentation is going to be another 20% of the grade. Okay. If you're the type of person who does not like to get in front of people, what I would strongly suggest is that you get with your group and you volunteer to create the presentation. Maybe you're the person who creates the Prezi or the PowerPoint. Maybe you find a very, very short film clip to illustrate your part of, the presentation paper, like something that's like a YouTube short that's 1 minute long or something, right? Whatever you do, you need to communicate with the rest of your group and let them know, I don't feel comfortable in front of people. This is going to be only in an extreme instance. I mention it just because I've had an extreme incident in my class before. And so I just want you to be aware, okay? Last but not least is going to be the individual peer assessment. This is for a grade. Each one of you will go ahead and fill out an in-group peer evaluation. So this name right here is going to be the name of the people. So like Professor Becky did this on the rest of her group, and the rest of her group was George Washington, Andrew Jackson, Teddy Roosevelt, Ronald Reagan, and Bill Clinton, okay? And of course, whenever Professor Becky, I'm the very first one, and I was very frank. I was dependable in attending group planning activities. I willingly accepted assigned responsibilities. I contributed positively to the group effort. I completed my contributions in a timely manner. I was courteous to and respectful of the others in the group. I rated myself at 7, 10, 10, 4 because I didn't do it in a timely manner, and 10. I rated George Washington, of course, as a perfect 10. That gave him 50 points. Andrew Jackson, of course, is a slacker. So he got 7, 7, 4, 4, and 1 because he wasn't courteous and respectful. We know how Andrew Jackson is. Teddy Roosevelt, he's kind of the bomb.com, but he still didn't make as good a grade as I did. Notice that? I need to fix that. Ronald Reagan, oh, he bluffed his way through, okay? And then, of course, Bill Clinton comes in dead last because he lied about everything. Okay, So I want to go back to this. Okay. Here's the thing. If you have questions, please do not hesitate to email me. I'm going to say one more thing about the group presentations. If in your group you have somebody who refuses to share their initial rough draft information with you, perhaps that person didn't turn in their rough draft. Maybe they didn't do the work. So, what are you going to do? As a group, you are going to address that student and you are going to say, you have until this time to get your work in. If you do not have your work in at that time, we're cutting you from the group. We're voting you off the island. If you are that person, what that means is that you have to do an entire presentation all by yourself. You will not have the rest of the group to hold you up. Okay? I'm going to tell you there is a reason we do group presentations, and that is because someday in your life, you are going to get a real job. And when you get that real job, you are going to have to work with other people, right? Yes, it's true. So, horror. Yes, you're going to have to work with other people. And there's an absolute reason that we have these group projects, and it is because we're trying to prepare you to be a productive member of society. All right. You're in like political science or international relations. You shouldn't have a problem working with others. Okay. Um, I'm okay with you being competitive. I'm not okay with you being a slacker. Okay. Entiendes? See, Miss Becky. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. You guys be blessed and have a great rest of your day.